History is full of enigmas, questions that remain unanswered despite centuries of speculation, research, and investigation. While we have learned a great deal about the past, there are still many mysteries that refuse to be solved. Some are unsolved crimes, others are disappearances of entire civilizations, and some are just perplexing events that leave us wondering if the truth will ever be known. In this journey through the greatest mysteries of history, we will explore some of the most baffling questions that have intrigued historians, archaeologists, and adventurers for centuries. From the fall of ancient civilizations to the untimely deaths of some of history's most influential figures, the story of humanity is filled with stories that remain locked in time. One of the most captivating mysteries is the disappearance of the Maya civilization. The Maya were one of the most advanced civilizations in the Americas, known for their knowledge of astronomy, complex calendar systems, and impressive architectural achievements. Their cities, such as Tikal and Copan, were flourishing hubs of culture, politics, and trade. Yet, by the end of the 9th century, many of their major cities were mysteriously abandoned. What happened to the Maya? Was it internal conflict, environmental destruction, or perhaps a severe drought? Despite numerous theories, we still don't have a concrete answer to explain the collapse of one of the most advanced societies of the ancient world. The question remains, how did a civilization that once ruled over vast regions of Central America vanish seemingly overnight? Another major historical enigma is the fate of one of the greatest conquerors in history, Alexander the Great. His empire stretched from Greece to India, and by the time of his death in 323 BCE, he had become a legendary figure whose conquests reshaped the world. But his untimely death at the age of 32 has baffled historians for centuries. Was his death due to natural causes, such as a fever brought on by malaria or typhoid, as some suggest? Or was he the victim of a slow poison, administered by those closest to him in an act of betrayal? Some even speculate that his death was part of a larger political conspiracy orchestrated by his generals or family members. The lack of definitive evidence has led to numerous theories, but the true cause of Alexander's death remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. Equally captivating is the myth of Atlantis. Described by the philosopher Plato, Atlantis was said to be an advanced civilization that existed over 9,000 years before his time. According to Plato, Atlantis was a powerful empire that sank into the ocean as a result of its people's hubris and greed. For centuries, scholars, explorers, and treasure hunters have been searching for this lost city. Some believe that Plato's account was based on real events, while others argue that it is purely a myth meant to warn against the dangers of pride. Many theories exist about where Atlantis might have been located, from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean, but no evidence has ever been found to conclusively prove its existence. Was Atlantis real, or is it just a cautionary tale passed down through the ages? The mystery of the lost colony of Roanoke is another puzzle that has intrigued historians for over 400 years. In 1587, a group of English settlers led by John White established a colony on Roanoke Island in what is now North Carolina. Shortly after White's departure to England for supplies, he was unable to return for 3 years due to a war with Spain. When he returned to Roanoke, the colony had vanished, and the only clue left behind was the word Croatoan carved into a tree. What happened to the settlers? Did they perish in an attack by local Native American tribes, or did they attempt to return to England, only to meet their demise along the way? The word Croatoan is the only surviving hint, but its meaning remains unclear. Did the colonists move to the nearby Croatoan island? Or was this a sign of something more sinister? This mystery remains one of the oldest unsolved cases in American history. The disappearance of the Maya, the death of Alexander the Great, the legend of Atlantis, and the vanishing of the Roanoke colonists are just a few of the many historical mysteries that continue to captivate us. These stories raise important questions about the past, and despite our best efforts to uncover the truth, they remind us of how much we still don't know. The allure of these mysteries lies in their unanswered questions. What happened to these great civilizations and individuals? And will we ever truly understand the events that shaped the course of history? Perhaps, in the end, the beauty of these mysteries is that they will forever remain enigmatic, prompting us to look deeper into the past and wonder about the stories yet to be uncovered. As we dive into the depths of history, we also find ourselves faced with another enigma: the elusive city of Atlantis. Plato's description of Atlantis as a powerful and advanced civilization has sparked debate for centuries. Was Atlantis a real place, or is it a cautionary tale designed to warn against hubris? Some believe the city was located in the Mediterranean, near the island of Santorini, while others argue that it could have been located in the Caribbean or even Antarctica. Some suggest that the tale of Atlantis is a metaphor, a story to illustrate the dangers of pride and the consequences of losing sight of one's moral compass. However, as time passes and no concrete evidence is found, the question of whether Atlantis ever existed remains a matter of speculation. In addition to Atlantis, the mystery of the Roanoke colony serves as a chilling reminder of how history can slip through our fingers. The disappearance of an entire group of settlers without a trace is a story that has left historians and archaeologists scratching their heads for generations. The carved word Croatoan has inspired countless theories, from the idea that the colonists integrated with Native American tribes to the possibility that they were victims of an attack. Even though historians have combed through every piece of evidence they could find, the fate of the Roanoke settlers remains one of the most haunting mysteries of early American history. Despite all efforts, the lost colony continues to intrigue and mystify. As we reflect on these mysteries, we are reminded of how much history is still left to uncover. The past, no matter how much we learn, still holds many secrets, some waiting to be revealed and others that may forever remain elusive. Each mystery, whether it is the fall of a great civilization, the death of a legendary figure, or the disappearance of an entire colony, leaves us yearning for answers. But sometimes, perhaps the most profound part of history is not in the answers we find, but in the questions that continue to challenge us. As we continue our journey into the greatest unsolved mysteries of history, we encounter more captivating tales, each brimming with intrigue, unanswered questions, and the possibility of uncovering secrets long buried in time. Among these enduring enigmas is the disappearance of the legendary city of Atlantis, a civilization lost to the ages, and the fascinating yet mysterious lost cities of Egypt, which may hold clues to the past that have yet to be discovered. The story of Atlantis is one that has fascinated explorers, archaeologists, and historians for centuries. Plato's writings about this advanced civilization, which he described as being located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, sparked countless theories about its existence and eventual downfall. Some believe Atlantis was a real place, destroyed by natural disasters, while others view it as a mythological tale created to warn against the dangers of hubris. Despite extensive searches by explorers and researchers, Atlantis has never been found. Theories range from the idea that it was located somewhere in the Mediterranean, such as on the island of Santorini, to suggestions that it could be buried beneath the Caribbean or even lost in the Antarctic. The legend of Atlantis endures, largely due to the lack of definitive proof, leaving us to wonder whether it was a real civilization or merely a cautionary tale. Similarly, the lost cities of Egypt present another captivating mystery. Egypt, home to one of the world's greatest ancient civilizations, is known for its monumental achievements in architecture, science, and art. Yet, over the centuries, many of its cities have vanished from the historical record, their locations remaining a mystery to this day. The city of Tanis, for example, was once an important center of power in ancient Egypt, yet its ruins were lost to time until rediscovered in the 1930s. But other ancient cities, such as Heliopolis, Bubastis, and Avaris, remain elusive, with only hints of their existence surviving in ancient texts. The ongoing search for these lost cities continues, with archaeologists and adventurers relentlessly combing the Egyptian desert for any sign of their existence. What secrets do these lost cities hold, and why were they abandoned or forgotten? The mystery of the tomb of Cleopatra is another story that has captivated historians for centuries. Cleopatra, the last queen of Egypt, is known for her intelligence, political acumen, and her relationships with some of Rome's most powerful men, including Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. But after her death in 30 BCE, her tomb was lost to history, and its location remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of the ancient world. Many believe Cleopatra's tomb is hidden somewhere in the ancient city of Alexandria, perhaps beneath the shifting sands of the Egyptian desert or submerged beneath the waters of the Mediterranean. Despite efforts by archaeologists to locate the tomb, no definitive evidence has been found, and the fate of Cleopatra's final resting place remains unknown. Shifting to more recent history, the disappearance of the famous aviator Amelia Earhart has left people questioning whether she was lost in the Pacific Ocean or whether she met a different fate altogether. Earhart was one of the most famous pilots of her time, making history as the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. In 1937, she set out to become the first person to fly around the world. But on her final leg of the journey, Earhart's plane vanished without a trace. Despite extensive search efforts, no wreckage was found, and the circumstances surrounding her disappearance remain a subject of debate. Some believe she crashed into the ocean, while others speculate that she was taken prisoner by the Japanese or stranded on an uninhabited island. The mystery of Amelia Earhart's disappearance endures, and it remains one of the greatest unsolved puzzles in modern aviation history. Another historical enigma that has puzzled researchers is the story of the Beal ciphers, a set of 3 encrypted messages that supposedly contain the location of a hidden treasure worth millions of dollars. According to the story, a man named Thomas Beal buried a vast treasure of gold and silver in the mountains of Virginia in the 19th century, and he left behind the ciphers to help the treasure hunters find it. 2 of the 3 ciphers have been cracked, revealing details about the treasure and its possible location, but the 3rd cipher, which allegedly contains the exact spot where the treasure is buried, remains unsolved. Despite numerous attempts by cryptographers and treasure hunters to crack the final code, the location of the Beal treasure remains a mystery, fueling the imagination of many who dream of striking it rich. Turning our attention to more ancient history, the Nazca lines in Peru have long been a source of wonder and confusion. These enormous geoglyphs, which are best viewed from the air, form intricate patterns of animals, plants, and geometric shapes that stretch across the desert floor. But the question remains, who created them, and why? Theories abound, from the suggestion that they were created by an ancient culture for religious or ceremonial purposes to the idea that they were signals for extraterrestrial beings. Despite decades of research, no one knows for sure why the Nazca people created these enormous markings, or how they managed to design such precise and large-scale figures without the aid of modern technology. The sinking of the Titanic is another historical event that has captivated the world's imagination. While we know the details of the tragedy, how the unsinkable ship collided with an iceberg and sank into the icy waters of the Atlantic, killing over 1,500 people, the question remains, could the disaster have been avoided? Some researchers have pointed to the ship's design, the lack of sufficient lifeboats, and the decisions made by the crew as contributing factors to the disaster. Others suggest that there may have been more to the story, such as negligence or even sabotage. The mystery of whether the Titanic disaster was truly inevitable or the result of human error continues to intrigue. Finally, we come to one of the most perplexing and enduring mysteries in recent history: the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. In March 2014, the flight disappeared without a trace while en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, sparking an international search that lasted years. Despite finding some wreckage on remote islands, the majority of the plane, its passengers, and the cause of the disappearance remain unknown. Theories abound, from mechanical failure and hijacking to conspiracy theories involving the passengers and crew. The disappearance of MH370 remains one of the most baffling aviation mysteries of all time, with no clear answers in sight. Each of these mysteries represents a different aspect of our quest to understand the world around us, whether it is the ancient civilizations that came before us, the fates of legendary figures, or the unexplained events that continue to defy logic. History is filled with questions that may never be answered, and perhaps that's what makes these mysteries so compelling. They remind us that there is always more to learn, more to explore, and more to uncover about the world we live in. As we continue to search for answers, we can only hope that one day, some of these enduring mysteries will be solved, though perhaps others will remain tantalizingly out of reach, forever part of the enigmatic past.